Good morning. It's like just a little after 7 a.m. Eastern time, Friday, December 6th, opening day for PAX Unplugged. So my PAX Unplugged designer diary super mini video, really quickly just to show off a couple things. This is definitely not the video that I had in my mind for my first video, like ever. A whole bunch of things just like different. I mean, there's a bunch of videos that I want to make that I think are going to be like detailed and not me just recording myself. I've done that for the podcast a few times and those can get rambly. So this is going to be much shorter than that. Just going over a few things really quickly and hopefully leading to some other videos later. But I just wanted to get this out because the indie games night market is tomorrow night. And my game is going to be there, so I just want to show it off real quick and say a couple things. So the whole thing's been a trip. I mean, up until yesterday, and I'm sure continuing into today and tomorrow, I was just going to add to that. But I was hoping to make this video last night. I took a little bit of a detour to try to avoid some weather, and I got hit with some pretty rough snow. Like, I'm used to driving in snow, but this was bad. I mean, the snow was like for 4 or 5 hours of the drive maybe, and really bad conditions were for like 2 to 3, just 10-20 miles an hour on the freeway, that getting like stuck in that. So again, unplanned stuff, but here we are just showing off the game real quick. Oh, again, trip, yeah, so it's been really fun. One neat thing, and that's probably what I'll start off with, is that outside of like the fonts, I have not created fonts yet, but I actually kind of want to, but I'm really bad at handwriting, so we'll see. I created all the assets for these cards, so this is a deck that you'll be getting with the game. So there's like one of them, here's there. So there are 8 different ingredients, and the game is called Oversized Sandwich, so ingredients make sense, right? I won't show off all of them. I think they look better in person than my poorly lit face viewing camera or whatever. But yeah, they're cool. I'm really happy with the way these turned out. Here the back's very simple, but you kind of get to like make a sandwich at the end, so I didn't want anything to kind of like overtake that. So there is that. It'll come in like a bag. You'll get a sticker with your name on it. I meant to put my name, VodPod. Well, that's not my name. I meant to put that on this bag with the rule book. Some tokens, which I'll talk about the tokens probably in a future designer diary. I want to do a bit more, but I just also really wanted it to be playable as like a just in case like you get it tomorrow night, which would be awesome. Like that'd be super cool. And you're like, yeah, I just want to play it. You got the tokens ready, and same with the rule book too. Rule book layout, oh gosh, okay. So basically when it's all said and done, it's gonna be like a big sheet, and you'll kind of like read it from top left, top right, and so on and so forth. But I would say, okay, this is a card game, so you're like, why the hell are there so many rules? I would say that on the whole, this game winds up being pretty straightforward. I have like a little premise on the front, and it gives a rules abstract, and it says play cards from your hand and attempt to get rid of them while matching a randomized order of cards. Whoever does the best at this in a round gets to place more scoring tokens. Awesome. I mean, that's what you're doing. And then I have like a general flow section, which is down here, and this really just talks about the main core. I think there are just some like wrinkles or differences in this between other ladder climbing, shedding type of games that aren't necessarily like crazy, but I just didn't want there to be any like ambiguity. Also my first attempt writing a rule book. I'm also generally pretty unintentionally verbose, and there's some other things in here. There are a couple things that wind up being on a player reference anyway for some like strength meld strength, just kind of going over that, which I don't think it's like super crazy. And then also just some like powers that the cards have, so you'll have access to those on a reference card too. So yeah, that's kind of about it. Like I said, I think if you're like used to climber shedders, the general bit is going to feel pretty recognizable, but then like some of the in between is going to be a bit kind of crazy. And speaking of crazy, like yeah, this thing, I wouldn't call it a table hog by any stretch of imagination, but you kind of have 3 rows of 9 cards inherently, and then just like what you're playing with. There are actually like less cards in your hand to start than a lot of climber shedders. I went through like all the climber shedders that I own, and I want to say like 9 to 12 is actually the typical bit. And this one you start with 8, but there's a cap on how many you can play, and it goes up like incrementally too. So it's like a lot more like micro plays. And I'll probably actually talk about that in a future designer diary. Just wanted to show this off and like say how excited I am for it. Yeah, that's kind of what I got right now. If you stop by, there's gonna be some fun stuff at the booth. I'm at booth 18, and if you want like a little visual, you kind of like start like 1 all the way around, and then it kind of gets into like the second half back here. So I'm in like the middle of the second half. So once you buy up all the awesome games over here, and you're like stuck with something over here, you're like, oh, I guess I got to get this game. I will be there ready. 40 copies. I also all like very, very nicely packed by my wife, who did a lot of helpful stuff. I'm not sure if I can even flip the camera. I'll take a peek. All in there. Components, like extras, just in case there is something wrong. I'll have like that box ready. Gonna have like a sign up sheet, so if you're like interested in the game or things that are coming. Speaking of things that are coming, this is like a real quick side tangent. I think this game is pretty slick. It's kind of out there, which I guess is my goal. Ultimately, I made the climber shedder that was on my mind, and I know it sounds dumb, might sound dumb, but I'm not sure if I like necessarily try to make like the best climber shedder. I made the one that was like most me. So I mean, I think in terms of climbing shedding, there's so many awesome options out there. I mean, like some of my favorites in terms of like flow, easy, accessible, well, relatively easy and accessible, something like Scout, like never misses. I've never had any issues with that one. And again, like the flow is super awesome, you know, grab, go, pass, so on and so forth. Or you get something like really tight and crunchy, like Haggis, which I also love. And then like my recent obsession has been spring cleaning, which is like an interesting kind of like almost in between point for those two. Has elements both, and that's a game that I've played primarily on Board Game Arena, but I'm at like 40 or 50 plays now, and I can't stop, and I'm eagerly anticipating my copy of that one too. But yeah, I don't think there's I mean, there's definitely like a couple mechanisms that might, you know, like not moving cards. That's really about it. The powers are kind of funky. They affect like the sandwich that you make, so you basically play a hand like ordered. Once that order is surpassed or passed around to you, it goes back to your sandwich, and you're trying to match that up with like one of the sandwich of the day, which is one of those 3 lines. And obviously it's going to be like pretty impossible the way that it's laid out, and you'll see that I don't need to over-explain the game, because I think some of those things will come as you're playing. So I'm not gonna review it. I like it. I made it. It is, again, it's like my climber shedder, and I'm ecstatic about it. If I were to give it a review, I would say that it's one that I'm extremely hesitant to try to teach my family. So, you know, a bunch of like review sites have like shut up and sit down recommends or approval or this or that. This one gets stamped like would be terrified to teach my family. So if you're like into card games, into Climber Shutters, I don't think there's going to be a ton standing in your way of getting going and hopefully really enjoying it. But that said, like, because I made this deck, there are 64 ingredient cards and then 8 cards for like references and then the different like road designators to get it to 72. And there's like a blank bread card. So I kept them all sealed up in the bag. If you want that signed or something, or like a little note, open it up and I'll write something on there. But there are 64 cards, 8 ingredients, 8 copies of each. And I've been kicking around like a simpler game already called Little Sandwich. So it's like the companion piece. So if you get this, you can have access to that whenever it exists. And if you get this and you're like, hey, this is kind of like a unique deck makeup and you want to make your own game. Obviously people make 52 deck card games. You could do something with this. I'm trying to sell a game. You can get it. There's potential for this to just be bought in the deck, like not the fun setup with the tokens and the rule book in a bag with like your sticker on it to like really show that it's yours. But I did get these printed through drive-through cards, and I'm thinking of just opening it up, which obviously if you just get that, you'd get a deck of cards. And at the convention, this whole setup, the cards, rulebook, tokens given to you, it's gonna be $20, and I think that the price that I'd set the deck at for drive-through cards is gonna be like probably like $20. So basically you're getting free stuff. PAX U exclusives. Okay, I'm encroaching 12 minutes. I wanted to keep this short. That's the shortest I can get for now. There's like so much more that I wanted to say, and I think most of that made sense. So hopefully I see a whole bunch of you tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to this. All right, bye.